Revealed, the incredible true story of a heartwarming blind date that changed everything forever. Jake wiped the grease from his hands and took a deep breath, stepping out of his cluttered garage. It was a balmy evening in DeKalb, and he could hear the laughter drifting from the neighborhood church where the community event was in full swing. As the son of a fallen veteran, life had never given him a free pass. But his hope for better days was wrapped tightly around the love he felt for his younger sister and ailing mother. Tonight wasn't just another night, it had the potential to change everything. His sister Sam had taken it upon herself to set him up for this blind date with Mia, a vibrant artist whose passion was as fiery as the sunset that colored the sky above. He'd heard stories of Mia's work, each canvas bursting with color, yet underpinned by the weight of a world that seemed too heavy. As he approached the church, excitement tickled his guts like butterflies. This could be the moment he felt in dreams, a step into the bright sunlight of the American dream he yearned for. When he walked in, he spotted Mia standing at the edge of the room, her laughter infectious, an array of colors splashed across her dress like a palette in bloom. Their eyes locked, and time broke into fragments, a smile, an intake of breath. As they shared stories of struggle and passion, laughter filled the space between them. In that moment, the weight of the world felt lighter, and all the grease and grime of his daily grind faded into the background. Instead, Jake was caught in the warmth of Mia's light. Before long, a familiar face sliced through the intimacy. His former friend, Drew, sauntered up, draped in wealth like a mantle. With biting sarcasm, Drew mocked Jake's hard work, poking fun at the grease-covered jumpsuits, the type of life they once swore they'd escape. The laughter that erupted was a jagged knife. It cut deeper than Jake expected. It was the stark reminder of the economic divide they lived with, the pain of underachievement, the fear of failure, but in that painful moment, Mia took his hand, squeezing it tight. He felt the echo of connection, warmth soothing the icy edge of self-doubt. Could love really bridge the chasm between their two worlds? Just when the evening spark ignited, tragedy hit. Jake's mother had an accident, and the news hit like a freight train. Uncertainty loomed as his focus shifted entirely towards caring for his family workshops, bills, and being the rock for his younger sister. The weight pressed down hard. Meanwhile, a shadow eclipsed Mia's artistic dreams as she faced heartbreak when her latest painting didn't win a local competition. In the chaos, doubts gnawed at her. Would love survive against a backdrop of his heavy burdens and her own unfulfilled aspirations? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just when she stood on the edge of giving up, Jake found the courage buried deep inside him. With a fierce spirit burning, he began advocating for Mia and her art, rallying support in the community despite the sneers from cynics like Drew. That single act of vulnerability ignited something in both of them, a beacon of hope, illuminating the struggle and beauty that lay within their ambitions. As friends and neighbors rallied to support Mia, the lines of connection between their hearts blurred further, but deeper questions gnawed at them. Could love weather the storm of their pasts? Would Jake's family obligations suffocate their blossoming romance? As he stood between family and the woman he loved, uncertainty hung in the air, leaving them at the brink of a revelation that could change everything forever. Jake sat on the steps of his porch, the faint scent of honeysuckle in the air mingling with the anxiety swirling in his gut. It had been a whirlwind of a week since that night at the church, and the reality of his mother's injury sank into him like a weight too heavy to carry. He was grateful for the support Mia's friends had offered her, but every moment felt fragmented. How could he be the man she needed while still holding on to the pieces of his life? He glanced down the street where Sam played with her friends. Her laughter echoed in the twilight, reminding him of the simplicity of childhood. She deserved a brother who would lift her spirits, not someone trapped beneath the heavy clouds of responsibility. Thinking of Mia brought warmth, but the impending reality of his obligations made it hard to enjoy. He pulled out his phone and stared at the texts she had sent. Each message dripped with kindness, yet the screens blurred as fresh doubt washed over him. How could he be there for her when life pulled him in 100 different directions? Jake. Sam's voice broke through his spiraling thoughts. Can we go get ice cream? The sparkle in her eyes was unmistakable, a bright light that cut through his worries. Sure, kiddo, he replied. Ice cream it is. Standing, he decided they both needed a taste of normalcy, a reminder that sweetness still existed amidst trials. As they walked to the corner shop, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was stuck in a strange limbo. The world felt heavy, yet on the other side of that weight had been Mia, her dream-filled thoughts shifting and swirling like the paints on her canvas. Would she understand his struggles? Would love last long enough to bridge their disparate realities? At the ice cream shop, the chill of the soft serve compared sharply with his sweltering thoughts, but as Sam giggled over her double scoop, he felt a spark of determination. He would do this for her, for his mother, and even for Mia. Somehow, he'd find a way to make it all work. That evening, he sent a text to Mia, a small gesture amid the chaos. Hey, do you want to meet up this weekend? I'd love to see you. The minute he pressed send, a glimmer of hope flickered in his heart. Maybe their love could withstand his burdens. Maybe it was the very thing that could help him hold everything together. When Saturday approached, he felt a mix of excitement and dread. The community center was hosting an art showcase to highlight the local artists. Mia's work was front and center, and as Jake stepped inside, he could hardly believe the transformation. Bright colors danced across canvas after canvas, a myriad of emotions echoed in every stroke. He spotted her instructing a group of children who were painting their own versions, laughter spilling from her lips like music. She turned, saw him, and her smile radiated warmth. In that moment, the air grew lighter, and the weight of his worries almost lifted. But as he stepped closer, his heart sank. Drew was there too, leaning against the wall with that smug confidence. Jake! You made it, Drew called out, an edge of mockery hidden in his voice. What, did you finally decide that you could use a little culture in your life? Despite the jabs, Jake felt Mia's hand slip into his, an anchor against the storm. She was everything he had fought for, the promise of brighter days looming ahead. As people milled around, conversations buzzing in the air, he didn't just see her as an artist or a woman. She was a force of nature, untamed and filled with hope. Could he keep up with it? With every shared laugh and whispered thought, Jake felt the cracks in his world slowly start to mend. Yet, as more people gathered around, he noticed some glances. Some were curious, others critical. Anxiety bubbled in him. What if Drew's words took root and spread? Just then, Mia caught his eye and whispered, "We can take on anything together, right?" The question hung in the air, breathing life into all the uncertainties swirling between them. Could they lay the solid foundation needed for love to grow? As he searched her gaze, memories of struggle and determination whirled in his mind like a storm, echoing the question that wouldn't leave him. As the showcase unfolded, each piece of art seemed to narrate their separate doubts and dreams. Jake felt like they stood on the edge of something profound, a choice, a risk, all leading to an inevitable moment of truth. But what if the past was ready to let them go? The noise of the crowd faded into a distant hum as Jake stood there, trapped between the hopeful glow of Mia's smile and the taunting presence of Drew. He took a deep breath, squeezing Mia's hand as if grounding himself against the tide of uncertainty. Her warmth, her encouragement, it felt like a lifeline. He needed to think clearly, to visualize a future that didn't drown him in self-doubt. This is amazing, Mia, he said, trying to focus on her art, letting the vibrant colors wash over him. You're really something. Mia's eyes sparkled with pride. Thanks, Jake. It's more than just painting, it's expressing what we feel. Kind of like how I feel when I'm with you. Her words sent a ripple of warmth through him, pushing back the shadows that loomed at the edges of his thoughts. But Drew was still there, hovering like a dark cloud. Jake's feelings of inadequacy rose again, prickling at the base of his throat. Drew, confident and charismatic, always seemed to have it all. What if he was right? Did Mia deserve someone better? Excuse me, Jake. Drew interrupted, cutting into their moment. You know, I paint too. I just don't put it in galleries. My work is more abstract. Like a reflection of life, you know. Jake managed a stiff nod, but it felt like a spear to his heart. He wanted to show Drew he didn't need validation. But a part of him wondered if he should or if it was even worth the effort. Mia, clearly sensing Jake's tension, pulled him back into the conversation. That's interesting, Drew. Abstract can express so much. Maybe we'll get to see your work sometime. The gentle challenge was clear in her voice. Jake's heart swelled. She defended him without hesitation, a silent affirmation that drew him nearer to her world. Yet as the night progressed, doubts morphed into whispers. One by one, attendees drifted toward Mia, their flattery wrapping around her like a warm embrace, while Jake was left standing apart. He felt like an outsider looking in, and every compliment thrown at her felt like a compliment away from him too. Are you all right? Mia stepped closer after shaking hands with another admirer, the concern in her expression drawing Jake back to her. Yeah, just getting lost in the moment, he said, trying to smile through the haze. But as the night wore on, that moment started transforming into a panic. What was he doing? The reality of his life crashed back down. His mother's struggles, Sam's need for support, and there he was, feeling like a ghost amid celebration. Mia's laughter was bright but far away, drawing him out of his dark thoughts. Jake, come see this, she called, motioning him to join her. She wanted him in that world. But the thought of stepping closer felt like walking to the edge of a cliff. No. The word escaped him like a shout, startling Mia, drawing attention to their corner of the room. The crowd went silent for a heartbeat. In that moment, he felt the weight of every gaze on him, judging and wondering what was wrong. Mia's brow furrowed, confusion mingling with a flash of hurt. What do you mean? Jake took a step back, the weight of fear crashing over him like a tidal wave. I can't keep pretending everything's fine. I'm overwhelmed. He felt exposed, raw, but there was truth in that vulnerability. Mia's expression softened, and she nodded slowly, as if trying to understand him. Jake, you don't have to pretend. We can figure this out together. But could he take that step? Could he allow her to see him not just as the man she admired, but as someone vulnerable and flawed? Before he could respond, the air shifted. Drew stepped forward, a smile plastered on his face, breaking the moment like glass. You know, Mia, I think we should take a picture together for the gallery's social media. It'll show you're surrounded by fine art and fine company. Jake clenched his fists, anger bubbling beneath the surface. They were all waiting for Mia to shine, but what about him? With the crowd's anticipation swirling, the energy was palpable. Jake knew the choice lay before him: step into the light or retreat into the shadows. But he also knew there was one question lingering: could he really trust Mia with the truth about himself? As he looked at her, standing confidently, he felt a flicker of hope igniting within him, a chance that the truth, when revealed, could light the way forward. Yet as they prepared for the photo, one lingering thought pulsed in his mind: what would happen if they found themselves facing not just the cameras, but the demons of their past, at the same time? Jake's heart raced as he realized the weight of what lay ahead. The camera was ready, the crowd was alive with praise for Mia, but his thoughts spiraled into chaos. Drew's suggestion had hung in the air like a thick fog, leaving Jake feeling both threatened and exposed. Why did this feel like such a pivotal moment? Mia turned to him, her eyes bright but a little hesitant, her excitement shadowed by Jake's turmoil. Come on, Jake. It'll be fun. She reached for his hand again, offering her warmth as if it could erase the cold knot in his stomach. The applause for Mia's talent swirled around him, and all he could think about was the contrast. She was vibrant while he felt gray, the colors of her success brushing against the muted shades of his worries. What if he stepped into that light? What would happen if he let Mia see the flawed, scared part of him? Mia, he started, but the words felt heavy and out of reach. The sound of laughter bounced around them, and for a moment, he considered just disappearing into that laughter. It beckoned him with promises of joy he was terrified to embrace. Drew cleared his throat, adjusting the angle of the camera. "Let us do this," he urged, a grin plastered on his face. The crowd began to chatter again, focusing on Mia and Drew, igniting Jake's familiar sense of invisibility. He felt like a ghost who had wandered into a party he wasn't invited to, but on the edge of that crowd, something shifted in Mia's demeanor. She looked back at him, her eyes unwavering. "Jake, I want you here." "Please," she said softly, a plea in her voice. Something broke inside him with those words. "You don't know no." She shook her head, interrupting him. "Don't you dare finish that sentence. You think I don't understand? But I do. I see you, Jake. I see all of you." For a moment, time stood still, and those words pierced through his fears. He wanted to believe her. The connection that sparked between them felt both terrifying and exhilarating. Could he expose his raw self, or was that too dangerous? As Drew called out for everyone to gather and smile, Jake stepped forward. It felt like a leap, one driven by the weight of Mia's gaze and the fragile hope blooming in his chest. He stood beside Mia, feeling the warmth radiate from her like the sun. They struck a pose. Jake's stomach churned, but as the flash went off and a chorus of cheers erupted, he smiled genuinely, not a forced one. He wasn't just behind Mia anymore, he was with her. In that brief moment of frozen time, he realized he wanted more than just a fleeting smile for a picture. They were intertwined, two people navigating their fears together. But as the cheers faded, the shadows of his worries loomed larger, ready to pounce on his newfound courage. "Jake," Mia said, stepping closer, her voice low, "just for him. Can we talk? Not here, but somewhere private?" The question lodged in his throat like a bitter pill. It was the moment he had hoped for, the increased heart rate of anticipation dancing alongside dread. Would he resist the urge to retreat? He felt teetering on an unseen ledge, staring into an abyss that was both horrifying and liberating. That he glanced at Drew, who was busy basking in the spotlight, and then back to Mia. The crowd had receded into white noise. The truth sat heavy in his chest, too. I need to tell you about my life. About the things I've kept hidden," he finally whispered, the burden of his fear palpable. "But I don't know if I'm ready." Mia's expression softened, full of understanding and support. "I promise I'll be here for you, no matter what it is." Her reassurance filled him with warmth, but it was also daunting. There was a chance he could lose her if she saw how truly flawed he was. But for the first time, the idea of revealing himself felt less like a jump into darkness and more like a step toward light. What would he reveal when the time came? Was it possible to strip away the layers hiding him from the world, from her, even if it meant staring down his demons? The chance to step fully into their relationship was right in front of him, and he had to decide if he would seize it or let it slip away. As they moved away from the crowd and into quieter corners of the gallery, Jake realized he was standing on the brink of something life-changing. Would he finally come clean, or would fear still hold him hostage? Jake followed Mia through the gallery, the lights dimming around them as they ventured away from the thrill of the crowd. The sounds of laughter faded, replaced by a soft hum of distant music that felt almost sacred. It was as if they were entering a private world, where every secret and fear could be laid bare. The walls, adorned with vibrant art, seemed to hold their breath in anticipation of the moment about to unfold. "Here?" Mia asked, stopping in front of a quiet alcove bathed in soft light. Jake nodded, feeling the closeness of the space amplify his nervous energy. Her presence was comforting, yet the weight of confession loomed over him like a storm cloud, dark and oppressive. "Jake, whatever it is. I want to hear it," she encouraged, her eyes steady and inviting. There was no judgment in her gaze, just an openness that made his heart flutter. He took a breath, trying to stabilize the whirlwind of emotions inside him. Words raced through his mind, chaotic and fragmented, making it hard to find the right ones. I've built a wall, you know. Something to protect myself from everything. It keeps people out, but it also keeps me trapped. Mia took a small step closer, her expression shifting to one of deep empathy. You never have to protect me, Jake. I promise. He clenched his fists, willing away the trembling panic that threatened to derail him. It's hard to explain. I've spent so much time hiding that I forgot how to be real. I've been so ashamed and scared people would see me as I am. Why? She asked gently, tilting her head as if trying to peer into his soul. His mouth felt dry. Because there are things I've done, things I've experienced. They don't match up with the guy you see in front of you. I'm not perfect. I've messed up. Who is perfect? Mia replied, her tone firm but soothing. Everyone has a past. Everyone has things that haunt them. You're not broken, Jake. You're human. I don't know if I can be what you expect, he confessed, the urgency of the moment pulling him further. What if I'm too much? What if this whole image you have of me shatters? Then we'll pick up the pieces together, she stated, her voice steady as a rock. Jake, I'm here for the real you. Not the polished version. He met her gaze, the weight of her sincerity melting some of the ice inside him. Could he truly open this door? The thought made his pulse race. It's hard to let go of that fear. Fear is part of it. But so is love, Mia responded, her words tender yet firm. I just want you to be honest with me about who you are. That's the only way we can move forward. As the gravity of her words sank in, Jake felt a wave of relief wash over him. The prospect of revealing his truths felt less like a fall into darkness and more like a journey into the light. Okay, he whispered, I'll try. I'll try to show you my real self. The air was thick with anticipation, and they stood locked in each other's gaze. He realized, at that moment, that Mia had the power to transform his fears into strength. But just as he opened his mouth to start, a loud crash echoed from the main gallery, jolting them both. They turned toward the noise, alarmed, and Jake's heart leapt back into his throat. What was that? Mia queried, her voice tight with concern. I don't know, he stammered, suddenly feeling the familiar tendrils of anxiety creeping back in. Do you think we should? But before he could finish, Drew burst into the alcove, his face pale and frantic. Guys! We've got a problem. Jake felt the walls of their intimate moment come crashing down, and in that instant, fear resurfaced, waging war against the hope he had just begun to nurture. What could possibly be happening now? Drew, what is it? Mia breathed, her voice edged with trepidation. Something's gone wrong. We need you both. Now. Jake's stomach tightened as the uncertainty of the situation flooded back in. Was he ready to face not just his truths, but whatever was waiting for them on the other side of this interruption? They exchanged a glance, the interlude of intimacy shattered, but the pulse of anticipation still thrummed between them. What awaited them? Was this the moment that would change everything for both of them? All Jake knew was that his dive into authenticity and connection had begun, and the stakes were higher than ever. Jake's heart raced as Drew's anxious energy filled the space between them. The intense connection he almost found with Mia felt like a distant dream, the gallery's soft lights now stark against the chaos that loomed outside. What happened? Mia pressed, her eyes darting between Jake and Drew. Drew took a half-step closer, clearly holding back panic. Some art came loose and crashed down. It's caused quite a stir, and people are trying to figure out what is going on. But, that's not the worst of it. What do you mean? Jake's voice was a whisper, as dread gnawed at his stomach. Now, more than ever, he felt that familiar wall wanting to rise up, shielding him from whatever news was about to slap him in the face. 2 pieces are missing. The ones that were supposed to auction tonight. We think they might have been stolen in the commotion. Drew's tone was urgent, and the gravity of his words weighed heavily on Jake. Stolen art. The idea seemed ludicrous amidst the veneer of glamour and celebration that had filled the night. But the look on Drew's face told him this wasn't a minor hiccup. It was serious. Mia's brow furrowed. How can that be? Did anyone see who did it? Not that anyone knows of yet. The gallery is in chaos, and they're trying to clear everything up before it escalates further, Drew replied, running a hand through his hair in frustration. But they need witnesses. We need to be ready if they start asking questions. Jake stared blankly for a moment, his mind racing. The night had begun as a dance of potential, and now it felt like everything was unraveling. How could he talk about his struggles when the world outside was spiraling? Mia, he started, grappling with the swirling emotions in his chest. What if Jake, we can talk later, she interrupted gently, her own resolve firming up. Right now, they need us. He nodded slowly, the decision sinking in. She was right. More than ever, the time felt ripe for action rather than reflection. Okay, let us go, he said, steeling himself. As they stepped out of the alcove into the commotion, the bright light stung his eyes, cutting through the dimness they had just left behind. It felt chaotic, a sea of worried faces, voices overlapping in confusion. People were gathered in clusters, pointing toward the far end of the gallery where a display had been cordoned off. Jake and Mia moved forward with Drew leading, weaving through the throngs of guests. Panic threatened to seep back into Jake, panic and self-doubt. What if once again he was caught unable to act? What if now wasn't he the moment to be vulnerable, to embrace his truth? But another voice pushed back, one that reminded him that being real, even amidst chaos, meant standing together. As they approached the scene, the gallery manager was canvassing the crowd, pleading for anyone with information. They hovered close enough that Jake could hear faint echoes of confusion weaving through the crowd. Let us try to find out if anyone saw something, Mia whispered, her tone urgent yet calm. We shouldn't just stand here. Jake agreed, though the thought of stepping up paralyzed him. What if he stumbled over his words again? What if he was just a frightened guy in a crowd, shrinking when he was needed most? Right, he muttered, pushing past his fear. He locked eyes with Mia again, silently reminding himself of her support. She needed him, and in turn, that pushed him forward despite everything he felt. Together they approached the manager, who looked overwhelmed by the tide of questions. Is there any way we can help? Mia asked, her voice steady. Jake watched as Mia, brimming with compassion, walked right up to face chaos with courage. And there it was, that flicker of hope igniting once more. Actually, yes. If you could start there, the manager pointed toward a small set of guests still gathered near the crash zone. We think some of them might have seen more than they've let on. Jake took a step beside Mia, feeling his heart thud as he found resolve in her presence. The electric pulse of fear and hope charged the air around them. They would face this together, even if it meant navigating through a storm. With one last shared glance, they steeled themselves for what lay ahead. Jake felt his footing shift and settle as the urgency of the moment took precedence over personal fears, but as they neared the group to question them, someone in the crowd shouted, "Did you see what they took?" The question hung heavy in the air, and Jake froze, the weight of everything crashing back around him. What if tonight wasn't just about stolen art? What if it was about unearthing all those hidden pieces of himself he had tried to keep under wraps? Mia, wait. He called suddenly, as dread coursed through his veins. She turned, her eyes wide with surprise. What is it, Jake? He swallowed hard. What if we find out more than we bargained for tonight? The sudden weight of his own words pressed down heavily. Would the truth they uncovered in this wild moment forever change the path, not just for the gallery, but for him and Mia, too? Jake steadied himself, ready to dive into whatever awaited them, even the shadows lurking behind his own walls. Tonight had just begun, but already he felt the stakes rising higher than he could have ever imagined. Jake's heart raced as he met Mia's gaze, her expression filled with both curiosity and concern. He could sense the tension crackling in the air around them, enveloping them like the electric hum of the chaos surrounding the gallery. "What do you mean, more than we bargained for?" Mia prompted, her voice steady despite the storm of emotions swirling within. He hesitated, his mind tangled in the web of possibilities. I don't know what we might uncover. We could be getting into something much deeper." The words hung between them, and Mia's brows knitted in thought. "But don't you think it's worth it? What if someone really saw something? If those art pieces were stolen, well, it's our chance to be part of something important." Jake's chest tightened. He appreciated her bravery, it was one of the things that drew him to her. But the idea of getting involved, of risking everything he was battling to stand at the edge of an unknown abyss, caused a wave of apprehension to wash over him. "Okay," he finally said, steeling himself. "Let us do it." They approached the group of guests lingering near the crash site. The chatter among them was loud, each voice overlapping, the anxiety palpable. Jake felt a knot tightening in his stomach as he started to focus on one voice that seemed to stand out amidst the noise. A tall woman with dark hair and an elegant dress stood at the center of the small gathering, her arms crossed. Her voice cut through the confusion, asserting authority. "It's insane that this has happened at such a prestigious event. There are people here worth millions, and someone thinks they can just walk out with art." Mia stepped forward, her tone soft yet commanding. "Excuse me, did you see anything? Any movement or suspicious behavior before the crash?" The woman turned to them, her expression shifting from annoyance to intrigue. "I didn't see much, just shadows moving near the exhibits. But my friend saw something more." She turned and waved a hand toward a man, who looked uncertain as he hovered near the back of the crowd. Jake's heart quickened as they beckoned him over. "What did you see?" Mia's voice was calm, but he could feel an undercurrent of urgency beneath it. The man swallowed hard, glancing nervously at the other guests. "I wasn't sure if I should say anything. I thought it was just the attention on the auction distracting everyone. But before the crash, I saw two people near the pieces right near the exit. They were different. They looked nervous, like they were waiting for something." Dread washed over Jake, increasing with every syllable. "Did you get a good look at them?" He shook his head. "No, it was dark by that end, and I didn't think it was important at the time." "Where are they now?" Mia pressed. "Do you think they fled?" "I'm not sure," he replied. But it was odd. They kept glancing at each other like they were in a hurry, and then the crash happened. As the group listened intently, Jake felt a shift in the room. The tension thickened, building on the whispering anxiety of the guests. Every eye was now trained on them, hanging on every word like a lifeline in a turbulent sea of uncertainty. Jake looked at Mia, who remained focused, her expression unwavering. It ignited something inside him, a flicker of courage. "Do you remember anything else?" he asked, turning back to the man, desperation creeping into his voice. Before he could respond, Drew appeared behind them, his face a mask of urgency tempered with a hint of determination. "We need to get this information to the authorities. They can track the exit points, figure out who might be connected." Mia nodded, a surge of resolve flowing through her. "Let us do it, then," she stated, glancing back at Jake. "This is our chance. Tonight can be more than just stolen art." The weight of her words settled on his chest, igniting a fire he didn't know existed. Jake understood now, it wasn't just about the gallery, or the stolen pieces, or the chaos engulfing them. It was about standing firm in the face of uncertainty, about supporting each other, whatever awaited them at the end of this unraveling journey. As they moved toward the exit, an eager anticipation threaded their way through the chaos, making Jake feel alive in a way he hadn't expected. He sensed the stakes were rising, but it felt different, charged with purpose. Then, just as they turned to leave, the gallery manager burst through the crowd, panic etched on his face. "Everyone, we need to review the security footage. There is something we missed." Jake's heart sank as every sense he had heightened in that moment. What could they have missed? What truths lay hidden in the shadows? What would they discover when the lights dimmed and the truth was finally revealed? Jake felt the rush of adrenaline surge through him. The gallery manager's voice cut through the frenzy like a knife, sharpening their focus. They needed answers, and from the looks on the faces around them, so did everyone else. Whispers filled the air, and the tension intensified, almost suffocating. "What do you think he means, something we missed?" Mia whispered, her brow furrowing with worry. Jake had to swallow hard before responding. "I guess we'll just have to find out." They maneuvered past the guests, a sea of troubled expressions and frantic gestures, until they reached the manager at the edge of the room. The flickering screens behind him reflected the chaos, showing fractured footage of the event. "Let us hurry," he urged, glancing around as if expecting someone to burst through the door at any moment. "I need you two to help pinpoint anything unusual. It's our best shot at finding out who did this." Jake and Mia exchanged a determined look. This was the moment they had been waiting for, their chance to be part of something real. They huddled close to the monitor, eyes glued to the moving images. The gallery was a kaleidoscope of colors and motion, but beneath that beauty, something sinister had unfolded. The footage began from the early moments of the gala: smiling faces, clinking glasses, gentle laughter. It felt surreal, watching everyone enjoy themselves, unaware of the catastrophe waiting to happen. "Look!" Mia exclaimed suddenly, pointing at the screen where two figures emerged from the shadows, wearing dark coats. "Those are the people he mentioned." Jake's pulse quickened. This had to be it. They leaned in closer, trying not to miss any detail as the scene unfolded before them. The figures shifted restlessly, glancing about with darting eyes. "What are they doing?" Jake murmured, the tension wrapping around them tightly. "Just wait." Mia seemed entranced by the unfolding drama, her expression a mixture of determination and fear. Then, as if the universe was cooperating with their quest for the truth, one of the figures took a quick glance at the camera, just enough to catch a glimpse of their features. "Oh my God," Jake whispered, heart pounding. "Do you recognize them?" Mia nodded, her face going pale. "Yeah. That's Alex. The guy from the other gallery." In an instant, Jake's world tilted. They had crossed paths before in the art scene, a young and ambitious curator known for his keen eye. But if Alex was involved in this, if he was connected to whatever happened tonight, everything felt upside down. "What is happening?" Drew stepped closer, their urgency palpable. "You two look like you've just seen a ghost." "Alex's in this," Mia confirmed, her voice shaking. "He was here before the crash." Jake's mind raced. If Alex was involved, was he the mastermind or just another pawn in a greater scheme? Their breaths quickened as they processed the implications. They weren't just searching for stolen art, they were stepping right into a tangled web of deceit that spiraled beyond their initial understanding. "Hang on," Drew said, his brows furrowing in thought. "We might need to handle this delicately. If he's involved, confronting him directly could blow everything up." Jake felt a sharp breath of fear and excitement wash over him. "We need to find him before he slips away. He might know who else is involved." They dashed to the exit, Mia leading with her fierce determination. The thrumming energy had shifted, the initial excitement simmered to an urgent dread. While the world seemed full of glamour, danger lurked just beyond the facade. As they burst through the heavy glass doors into the moonlit night, Jake's heart raced with the realization that they were now in deeper than ever. But something else loomed over him, a sense of impending discovery that both thrilled and terrified him. "Where do we even start looking for him?" Mia asked, glancing around anxiously. As the night fell heavier, Jake turned back to the gallery. "Somewhere," he said, gripping her hand. "Somewhere he doesn't expect us to be." And with that, they plunged into the darkness, not fully knowing the depths of what awaited them. Were they ready for the truth? Would they emerge as heroes, or would the shadows swallow them whole? The night was thick with tension as Jake and Mia navigated the quiet streets, streetlights flickering like unease in the air. The thrill of pursuit clashed with the gnawing fear of uncertainty. Jake glanced sideways at Mia, her determined eyes cutting through the shadows. They were in this together, for better or worse. "Do you think Alex is still nearby?" Mia broke the silence, her voice barely above a whisper. Jake shrugged, his brow furrowed. "If he knows we're onto him, he might be long gone. But he has to have a reason to stay close. We just need to think like him." Mia nodded, her mind racing. "He is probably at the other gallery, right? Where he felt secure, where everything started." "Let us check it out," Jake said, adrenaline fueling his next steps. They made their way toward the gallery's location, their breaths heavy with anticipation. The city felt alive, pulsing beneath their feet as they turned onto a side street where a smaller, more intimate gallery awaited. It felt almost forbidden, hiding secrets in the dark corners of its art and memories. They approached cautiously, scanning the area for any signs of life. As they peered through the glass facade, the scene struck them sharply. The gallery looked eerily quiet compared to the chaos of the night before. But it was beautifully lit, at least on the outside. "They must be preparing for a late-night showing," Mia remarked, stepping closer to the entrance. Jake felt a knot tighten in his chest. "Let us not go in just yet. We should watch and wait. If Alex is here, he'll make a move." Minutes trickled by, each tick of the clock echoing Jake's racing heart. Shadows flitted inside, and whispers floated faintly through the door. Jake felt tension coil around him like a vice. But as time passed, he noticed something, a fleeting figure slipping out from a side door. "Is that him?" Mia murmured, pointing. Jake squinted. "I can't tell. Let us follow him." They crept back into the alley, silently trailing the figure who moved with urgency. Each step felt treacherous, every breath laden with unsaid worries. As they turned the corner, the figure disappeared down a narrow alleyway. The moonlight painted ghostly shapes on the walls, but it felt like a trap waiting to snap shut. "Do you think we should call the cops?" Mia asked, anxiety creeping into her tone. Jake shook his head, heart pounding. "No. Not yet. We're too close." They rounded the corner, and there he was, Alex, in an eager discussion with another shadowy figure, sketching out something on a tattered notepad. The earlier thrill faded, replaced by nervous determination. This was it. They could finally get answers. "Mia, this is our chance." Jake's voice was barely above a whisper. "Stay low," Mia agreed, moving closer to eavesdrop, her heart hammering with excitement. Just as they leaned in, they heard that name, the one that sent their senses into overdrive. "The shipment is arriving tonight," Alex said urgently. "Everything will go perfectly as long as no one interferes." Jake's stomach dropped. Shipment? What was Alex up to? Suddenly, the world around him began to swirl, reality wrestling at the edges of his understanding. This wasn't about art theft, this was something deeper, darker. "Mia!" he gasped, grabbing her arm. "We can't let him leave. We need to expose this." But just as Jake summoned the courage to confront Alex, a noise echoed from the alley entrance. A pair of headlights sliced through the darkness, and the hairs on the back of his neck stood up. "Jake, he is going to see us." Mia hissed, panic creeping into her voice. They had to act fast. With no clear plan, they pulled back, hiding behind a dumpster as the headlights turned, illuminating the alley. The urgency settled in tight, and Jake realized they were now caught in a dangerous game. "What if we confront him?" Mia breathed, her eyes wide. "But what if it backfires?" As they crouched, awaiting their next move, Alex turned, his eyes scanning the shadows. Would they make the leap or retreat? Jake felt the weight of the choice finalizing in his heart, an unexpected pull towards something greater. "I don't know if we can back down now," he said softly, determination hardening his resolve. But before they could decide, Alex's face lit up as he spotted something or someone behind them. Did they have time to escape? Or was this the moment the truth finally struck? Jake and Mia held their breath, caught in a moment that felt suspended in time. The beam of headlights sliced through the darkness, illuminating Alex's face, one twisted with urgency and a hint of desperation. As he turned, Mia and Jake exchanged quick glances, the air thick with unspoken decisions. The figure that had appeared alongside Alex was unfamiliar, an enigma wrapped in darkness. Just then, a sudden movement sent Jake's heart racing. "Jake," Mia whispered, her eyes wide with dread. "What do we do?" Panic coursed through him, but alongside it was a surge of adrenaline. They could no longer remain invisible. They had to make a stand. They had to confront the truth, no matter how terrifying. "We need to take back control," Jake urged, determination cutting through his fear. "On three." Mia nodded, eyes fierce. 1, 2, 3. They sprang out, stepping into the light and demanding their presence. "Alex!" Jake called out, shaking off the shadows of doubt. The streetlights illuminated their faces, revealing Jake's resolve and Mia's fierce spirit. Alex looked shocked for a split second, and then a smirk spread across his lips. "What are you two doing here?" he retorted, crossing his arms as if to shield himself from their bravery. "You think you can just barge in and ruin my business?" "Business? Is that what you call this?" Mia shot back, her voice steady despite the chaos swirling within. "You're stealing art, Alex. You've betrayed everything this community stands for." Every word from Mia resonated with truth, each syllable strong enough to pierce through the layers of deceit. Jake felt the weight of the moment crash down. This wasn't just about stolen pieces of art, it was about honor, integrity, and the souls of those who had poured their life into their craft. "Do you really think you can stop me?" Alex laughed, but there was panic in his eyes that told another story. The figure lurking in the shadows tensed, poised to spring, but Jake wasn't about to back down. "Tell us where the art is, and we can end this," Jake declared, daring to cut through Alex's bravado. He began to step forward, backed by the strength of Mia at his side. The atmosphere shifted. Alex's bravado faltered, and Jake recognized the flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. "You think you can just waltz in here and demand answers?" "You're in over your heads," he scoffed, but Jake saw through it. The facade was crumbling. "Enough games, Alex," Mia challenged, her tone unwavering. "People's dreams and livelihoods depend on those pieces. Your actions have consequences." The figure lurking beside Alex shifted, and without warning, began to retreat, throwing a glance back towards them. Their moment of hesitation ignited something within Jake. "We're not afraid of you. We're pursuing the truth, and we will not stand down." The tension snapped, and Jake lunged forward, grabbing Alex's arm. "Make this right, or we'll take this to the authorities." "You think we won? Try us." In that instant, everything hung suspended. The darkness around them buzzed with frantic energy. The choice to confront the truth or fade back into the shadows loomed larger than ever. Jake felt the support radiating from Mia, her hand steadying his grip on reality. Alex's bravado softened, and lines of sweat sprung along his forehead. "Fine," he finally conceded, his voice strained. "The pieces are in storage. I was going to sell them off before anyone found out." He revealed the location, a place nestled away from prying eyes, words tumbling from his lips almost as if an unseen burden had finally been lifted. As Jake and Mia exchanged determined glances, they both realized this wasn't merely about reclaiming stolen art. It was a battle of conviction. They had accepted the challenge, chosen to fight for what mattered most, not just for themselves, but for the dreams of countless others. "Let us go," Jake urged, the certainty blaring in his voice, igniting a fire within his heart. Together, hand in hand, they broke away from the oppressive darkness that had threatened to consume them. As they headed toward the storage facility, each step felt like reclaiming a piece of their identities. They were no longer just battling external forces, they were confronting their fears, proving that vulnerability and bravery could coexist. The moon hung bright overhead, illuminating their path, as they forged ahead into the night. Whatever awaited them at the storage facility, they knew they were heading toward the truth, and for the first time, that truth didn't feel like a weapon, but like a form of liberation. Arriving at the facility, Jake felt a combination of trepidation and purpose. Pressing forward, he turned to Mia, whose smile shone with fierce determination. "We'll do this together," he yelled, the weight of the world dropping from his shoulders. Together, they pushed through the door's brace to uncover not just stolen art but the very essence of who they were meant to be, and just as the power of love and truth surged forward, they realized something transformative. Sometimes, it's not just the final destination that defines the journey, but the choices made along the way. As dawn broke on the horizon, casting golden light over the city, Jake and Mia emerged, stronger than ever. Together, they would chase dreams and reclaim lost aspirations. It was just the beginning, and the journey was theirs to shape. This is your moment, this is your time. Now that you've experienced this incredible journey, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Don't wait not even one more second. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm so we can keep bringing you amazing tales. Comment down below your reactions and feelings about the ending. Let's share the journey together. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Show your support and let us make history together.